Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today is Letters to Blue. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Every week I take some of the letters that have been submitted by viewer comments through emails or from Instagram. And these are people who have questions or maybe they have a story to share. So if you have a letter that you'd like to submit for a future episode, comment below or send me an email. I will include my email address in the description box below. So thank you to everybody who submitted their letter. Let's get started. All right, first letter. Organizations are looking for billing personnel on the cheap, which is why they expect everyone to start at the bottom and work their way up the chain, even when they come in fully certified. Imagine if a doctor, nurse, teacher, or engineer was expected to do years of minimum wage work in another field before given positions in the profession that they were trained for. I can think of no other occupation that does this to people. Right now, they should be desperate for coders with all the extra pandemic cases. I watch my son send out endless resumes and get no response, even though he has 2 certifications. All right, so here's the thing. I always recommend that when coders are starting out, brand new medical coders to the field, that you only start with 1 credential. Because if you look in the job postings, employers are looking for only 1 credential, and they say either AHIMA or AAPC, and that's all you need. It's just the 1 credential. So having a bunch of credentials doesn't get you looked at and doesn't get you hired much quicker, and that's what I keep trying to say to everyone. And people still do it anyway, and that's fine. You can do that. But the thing is, these credentials are living certifications. You have to do your continuing education units in order to maintain them. Otherwise, you will lose them. And if you haven't gotten a job yet, it can be quite costly, especially if you are still working in your current job, whatever you're doing, till you find a job in medical coding. The reason that it's so difficult, and it happens to all of us, it's not personal. And the reason that it is so difficult to get a job in the beginning as a brand new medical coder is because, of course, everybody wants experience. But how are you supposed to get experience if no one will hire you? The reason that they don't want to hire people that are brand new with no experience is because they don't know how much you know. And yes, while sometimes people pass their initial assessment tests, it is some rule that their facility has about hiring new people, which is why I tell people who are going into the degree programs to give brand new people a chance. If they have some pull with hiring, give brand new people a chance, because to me, keeping a lot of these new people out just because they don't have experience really does hurt the industry, because you're losing a lot of talent that way. But in the meantime, we've all been through this. I went through this. I searched and searched and searched for 2 months, and then I had to go back to the school, and they set me up with a temporary agency who specialized in medical professions, and I was able to get a job as a coder right out of the gate. So I have never done billing, ever. In my entire career, I've never done billing, and I was not expected to work from the bottom all the way up to the top. I worked, yes, but it was at a progression that was in coding. I never had to do billing. So there have been people during the pandemic that have gotten jobs as brand new medical coders. You have to be very persistent. And yes, there's going to be times when you're going to be looking for months and months and months. But it really does depend on what positions that you're applying for. And are you applying for places that are asking for experience anyway? I tell people to apply anyway, even though they're asking for 2 years or 5 years of experience, because sometimes there's not enough certified coders in the area, and they will take a chance on somebody new. So that's why I tell people, go ahead and apply anyway. What is the worst that could possibly happen? That you don't get looked at. You at least put your name in the hat. They know who you are because you're showing yourself. You have to be able to show yourself. And yes, while you're the parent and it's very difficult for you to watch your child go through that, this is his profession, and he needs to be active as far as like, well, I know I'm going and putting out all these applications, but I'm going to keep going. And like I said, there's been people who are brand new with their certifications that have gotten jobs since the pandemic's been going on with no experience, and they're being trained at home. So there is a possibility of it. The other thing is, I don't know what this young man's resume looks like. If your resume is not in line with what that facility needs, then they're going to overlook you. If you are really highlighting the fact that you don't have experience, that's another no-no. They know you don't have experience by looking at your jobs that are listed. But what you can do is make sure that you have your transferable skills. Do you have your medical terminology, your anatomy and pathophysiology on your skills list? Because believe it or not, people leave that off of there and they say, oh, well, I don't need to put that. That's just common sense. I got my certification. But if you look on the job postings, it does say must be proficient in anatomy, physiology, medical terminology. That's very important. People don't take notice of some of these little detail things. Like, again, I don't know what this young man's resume looks like. It could be anything. It could be the most stellarly written, but it depends on the details. What is he highlighting on this? Is he putting his resume on 1 to 2 pages, 2 pages max? It really should go on 1 page, but some people have an extended work history. Your son, this may be his first job, so it may just go on 1 page, but it needs to highlight all the good things about him. Is he putting out a really good cover letter to go with that resume? And the cover letter cannot be just a very perfunctory, oh, well, I'm a team player and I'm really looking forward to working it. No. It needs to be, why did he choose medical coding? Why does he want to be a medical coder? And I've said many times, and I've done a whole video about males in medical coding. Males in medical coding is a good thing. And I have said this many times. There should be more males in medical coding to balance out the energy of the departments. Because right now, the majority of it is women. But every single male medical coder I've come across has been a very good and valuable member of the community. So there should be more males. But again, it depends on how is he applying for these positions and is his cover letter looking really good. So to the parent that sent this in, I'm really sorry that you're watching your child go through this. But at the same time, he'll get it if he keeps on, and he has to be persistent. And if he wants to be a coder, then let him be a coder. He doesn't have to necessarily apply for billing positions, but there's other positions that he can apply for. Prior authorizations is another one, and it's going to give him coding experience. All right. There's risk adjustment, which is also going to give him coding experience, and they don't even require a certification for that a lot of times. So those are additional ones. Getting into medical records is not going to give him coding experience, but it will get him around the people that will hire. So those are some alternatives. And a lot of times people look with blinders because they say that they want to get into medical coding. That's all they want to do. But sometimes you have to use other avenues to be able to get in. So I wish your son luck. I hope he's watching these videos so that he can stay encouraged and stay motivated during this time. This is part of the shaping process, and it is not unusual for this to happen. Is it frustrating? Yes, but it's just temporary, and he will find work as long as he keeps after it. And that's just my advice. Next letter. I appreciate the success stories. We all travel different paths on our journey. I graduated from an online course 3 years ago in medical coding. I'm still a school custodian, 52 years old, single mom that has had life slow my progress down. I'm still studying and doing practice scenarios and hoping to take my exam this year. I'm sure I will have a huge hurdle because of my age, but I'm still trying. Thanks for the encouragement and the honesty. And here's the thing, 52, you're still young. 52, you're still young. I've known people who are age 61 who got their first job in medical coding at age 61, and they're still a medical coder today. I've been a medical coder for over 10 years. I have a viewer who is in his 70s and he is going back to school for this, and he's been studying. And I look forward to the day that I get to announce his job too. So don't worry about your age, and don't worry about all of the things that you think may be happening because, oh, my age is in the way. Your age is not in the way. You can do this because people your age and older have done it too. So it is entirely possible. And I know that you can do it because moms are some of the strongest people on earth. And I know that when they put their minds to anything, that they'll be able to do anything that they want to do. You've spent your life taking care of your family, I'm sure. And now it is time for you to have something for yourself. And if you keep continuing on practicing, that's wonderful, because you're going to need that, especially when you go take your certification exam. You should get your certification exam done as soon as you feel that you're ready, but make it sooner rather than later, because you don't want to have to put that off too much longer, because you don't want to lose any of the information that you gained while you were in school. And you've been out of school for quite a bit, but it's okay. Just get in there and get it done, because yes, you can. Okay. Next letter. Thank you for sharing your detailed and informative insights. I work as a medical receptionist for a large urology group in my area for 9 years. I have knowledge of CPT and ICD codes, and I am experienced in putting in codes for urology. I would like to pursue a career in medical coding and billing, and I am planning on getting the degree and certification through AAPC. I need your advice if I still need to get the prerequisite knowledge of medical terminology and anatomy. Do you think it is necessary for me to add on the prerequisite since I already have an experience working in a specialist office? Thank you so much thank you so much in advance. All right, so here's the thing. AAPC just has certifications. They don't have degrees. Just letting you know that. The thing with the medical terminology and anatomy, if your knowledge base is just with urology, then I would recommend that you go through that prerequisite program, because you are going to need it. It's more than just urology. It's going to be other specialties as well. But if your anatomy and medical terminology is already up to par and you know the general systems of the body and you can pretty much navigate yourself, then you're okay. Because it's only going to set you up for success that you already know this stuff. But if you need to, I would strongly recommend that you take it. AAPC has this as a separate bundle for their programs. They have the coding by itself, and they have the anatomy and medical terminology as a bundle. So that you have to make that decision on your own. Trying to get into the coding part and not having that good foundation of anatomy and medical terminology will hurt you if you do not have that strength there first. So I'm just saying, because it's not going to make sense. And a lot of people think that you can just bypass anatomy and medical terminology before you get into the coding. You can't. You have to have that before you get into the coding. If you don't know it, again, it will hurt you. So that would be my recommendation. And, get one of these anatomy books and see if it is something that you already know. If you're familiar with it already, then you can make that decision. So that's just my advice. All right, next letter. Hi, Blue. I will be starting my CPC program in May. I am looking to switch jobs currently. I was looking into medical biller, but since I have no experience, I was going to ask you what you recommended for a starter job. I have worked in human services for 10 plus years. I know you mentioned about being a secretary or receptionist would not really help for when I want to become a coder. I'm not sure what jobs you recommend with having no experience currently in coding, since I will be starting in May. Thanks. So here's the deal. You don't have to have experience to be a medical biller. If you look at the medical billing positions, a lot of times they're looking for either previous experience or they're looking for you to just have a high school diploma or a GED. A lot of times medical billing companies will train you, because it's different everywhere. I mean, as far as like what insurance companies they work with and things like that. So that's why a lot of them are willing to do on-the-job training, and that is totally fine. And again, you don't even have to be certified to be a medical biller. And I'm gonna keep saying that. So the thing is, with that, you have a lot of transferable skills because you've worked in human resources. So you have your knowledge of Microsoft Office Outlook, Word, Excel, and things like that. So that is really good to put on your resume. You have a lot of transferable skills, being that you've been in an admin position like this, if you want to start in medical billing. So I would do that, and I would put in my people skills as an HR person, right? Because that's, yeah. So I would definitely put that on there and highlight everything that you know, right? And so that way they'll look at your skills that you can bring, and okay, we have this person who doesn't have billing experience yet, but she's going to be going to school and she's going to be getting all this education. So let's go ahead and get her in. So that is one thing that I do recommend. I don't recommend, if you are trying to get your foot in the door somewhere, to start in like reception or as a, what was the other thing? A secretary, because it's not going to give you the coding experience that you need. Starting with billing, or starting in prior authorizations, or starting in medical records, those are the places that you really want to start. Risk adjustment is another one that you can start in. Again, you don't have to even be certified to be a risk adjustment coder. So those are things that you can look at, because a lot of times people will put in medical coder or coder, remote coder. And the thing with the pandemic, right? Yes, a lot of brand new people are working at home, and it's on a normal basis, this does not happen. You are, a lot of times with remote positions, they want you to have 3 to 5 years of experience because of all of the detail that goes into this. And it is very difficult to train somebody when they're away from you. But because of the pandemic, there's been a lot of concessions, and facilities are willing to hire brand new people and train them at home. But remote coding companies, the ones that are specific that they are remote, they are still going to expect you to have experience. And so that is something to know before you frustrate yourself and apply for those positions and don't get the call. So always apply for places that you have to physically go. So that way, if they are having their people at home, then you will have a chance if they're willing to look at your resume and give you a shot. So that is my recommendation there. You are starting school in May, and here we are in February. So, I mean, you have time to establish yourself at a doctor's office. That's fine. But, you know, I mean, it really all depends on where you are and what you're doing. So, but keep in mind that when you start this medical coding program, it's going to be a lot on your plate, having your coding program and working. Is not impossible, but it's going to be a lot. So getting yourself into a position where you are working around in the medical field, that is really good. That's a good place to start. But yes, I would stay away from like scheduling. I would stay away from that. I would stay away from being a secretary or a receptionist, because again, those positions aren't going to help you. It's not going to fill out your resume. I would go with anything having to do with insurance and billing and risk adjustment and those types of positions, because that is where you're going to get those extra points of, I have experience drawing out codes or verifying codes or auditing to make sure that everything is there for the billing, that kind of thing. So those are the positions that you want to get into. That's just my advice. If you start in medical records, though, that's another thing too. Medical records will help because it will get you around the people that you need to be around. So again, that's just my advice. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. There was one question, though, that I did not get a chance to answer now that I think about it. It was about AI, artificial intelligence. Somebody had asked on the assumptions about medical coding if artificial intelligence was going to take over for medical coding. No, it is not. That has been a long, drawn-out rumor, and people say that a lot to scare people into not getting into medical coding, which is, I mean, they've been saying it forever. I've been in the field for over 10 years, and they've been saying that even before when I was in school. Oh yeah, there's going to be a artificial intelligence to take over. Guys, don't listen to that, because there's going to be people who have that negative mindset that, oh yeah, it's going to be taken over. Here's the thing. How can artificial intelligence take over? Because that would mean that they could create software that can literally read the provider's mind. And providers don't always write things the same way every single day, right? And they're going to change the way that they word things, and a computer's not always going to understand it. Software is only as smart as you're telling it to be. So it can't think of everything that could possibly happen, because each patient is unique. Each provider is unique. So no, when they say, oh, it's going to be taken over by artificial intelligence, don't listen to that. That's somebody that clearly does not understand what this field is or what actually it all entails. Because there's going to be people that act like they know when they really don't know. So really consider who you're getting your source from, who you're getting this information from. Because if they are somebody that has been in the field, that understands really what is causing them to say that. Because they've been saying it since eons ago, and we're still here. There may be new tools that come out that make it easier for coders to code, or more efficient, or more detailed codes to select. That would be something, but it's just like how the encoder was invented. The encoder was invented to help coders to increase their speed, because then they wouldn't have to look in the books. But the books are still being published every year. And the encoders are different. Each one is different. And some of them are more comprehensive than others. So again, it really all depends on, what, what is going on. But as far as that artificial intelligence taking over for coders, no, that's not true. So, but that's just what I have to say about that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you've already subscribed, like this, and please share this if it helped you. And I will see y'all on the next video. Bye!